Dance Arts of Columbia provides fitness fun for everyone from 3 years old to adult. Dance Arts is a good environment where the friendly staff makes you feel comfortable. Dance Arts feels that dance is an art form that you can experience firsthand by learning tap, jazz, modern, musical theater, lyrical, and ballet. Dance Arts urges you to enjoy a sense of accomplishment while getting fit and having fun. For class information, call 875-1569. Dance Arts of Columbia, serving Columbia since 1979.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Friday, it's April the 20th, and my friend Mel Zelenak is with us, consumer and travel expert and retired professor of economics at the University of Missouri. And we were just kind of chatting here, shooting the bull before we started, and you came with some prepared information we were going to talk about, but then we were talking about a book that you said is one of the best books you've read.
Yeah, it's actually the best finance book
it's called.
I use it in my class for 10 years plus. And I've also used this one in my class. And
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it was a bestseller for many years. It's still available. The library has many copies of it.
Why is this book so good?
Because it teaches you a different way to think about investing. And what's wonderful about this book is you could read it in a couple hours. It's written at a 4th or 5th grade reading level, frankly. So it's not very difficult to read it. And initially, it's hard to understand it. But after you understand what the substance of this book is, you're going to say, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that earlier? Now, I want to tell you, probably one of my most intelligent students I ever had. He was in the business school actually, and he had a typical, not typical, but 4.0, very, very smart. And he had never even learned what Kiyosaki talks about in his classes, and he was a senior by then. So, but anyway, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I want to whet your appetite and ask me any questions you want about this if you want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, so what's the best bit of advice that the book gives?
The major thrust here is really you want to develop passive income for yourself.
Now, you were telling me you don't work for money, you work for time.
That's correct.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is most people work a 9-to-5 job or 8-to-5 job and so forth. And that's fine to do that. But in the back of your mind, you always want to keep in mind that what you're really working for is free time somewhere along the line. And one way to do that is through passive income. The best way to explain passive income easily is every second of the day you're making money on that passive income. You don't have to do anything for it. It's just the money is coming in.
But you have to do something to start the passive income.
Absolutely.
You have to take a step to start passive income.
And you have to understand it. You have to invest your time. So if somebody else, I always told my students, you know, other kids may be having fun doing other kinds of things. It may take you a little extra time to start developing your ideas in passive income. Let me just give you one great example of what passive income is, and it's real estate investing. And with real estate investing, if you do it properly, that may be one of the best ways to develop passive income for the average person, okay? And that's what this book really talks about.
Okay.
And I mentioned to you earlier, if you had $100,000 and you made $10,000 with stocks and bonds, and you had you bought a rental property for $100,000, and you made it went up in value $5,000 in a year, which is a better value.
Well, I said to you before we came on, I said probably the real estate property,
and
the rental property.
Why.
You said right. You did ask me why, and I said, well, maybe because of the tax savings. And you said, well, that's not all.
Well, that is one benefit, but that's not the major benefit.
What is the
major benefit is leverage. And if you buy $100,000 worth of stock, unless it's a very unusual situation and most people wouldn't qualify for it, how much does it cost you to buy that $100,000 worth of stock?
What?
How much does it cost you?
Well, $100,000.
Yeah, it costs you $100,000. Now let's take the real estate, for example. You buy a house for $100,000. How much does it cost you to buy that house?
Well, it's going to cost you $100,000 to buy that house.
Is it?
Well,
When you buy a house, do you pay?
Because you're borrowing that money and you're
So
paying it
let's say
off.
you had to put 20% down, so you've put $20,000 down.
That's what it costs you to.
Yeah, so you made $5,000 theoretically on this $20,000, plus you have the tax benefits, plus you have whatever income you were able to generate.
So this is what the book is all about.
Yeah, that's what it talks about.
Okay, this isn't what we were going to talk about today,
No.
but it's pretty interesting. So, and Mel doesn't even have a stake in this book.
No.
It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's available at the library?
It's available at the library. They have it in audio tape as well.
Okay.
There's a book out called Rich Woman by Kiyosaki's wife that basically says the same thing, that they can be used as well.
We got about 2 minutes left, actually less than 2 minutes, Mel. Now what were you wanting to talk about?
Okay.
Well, he's an interesting guy to visit with.
I'll ask you this then. Who said for almost everyone wanting to invest in stocks and bonds and the stock market, my best advice is to buy an index fund with low costs?
Who said that?
Who said that?
Mel Zelenak?
Well, I've said it, but somebody a whole lot
I
more
don't know.
intelligent than I
don't
am.
know.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett said that.
Warren Buffett said that. And he did say, I can read you the quote here, I believe that 98 or 99%, maybe more than 99% of people who invest should extensively diversify and not trade. That leads them to an index funds with very low costs.
Okay.
And
Now
then if you take another quick,
Okay.
the second favorite book I have is The Smartest Investment Book You'll Ever Read. This will take about 2 hours to read, and every year you have to spend about 30 minutes on your investments, and you're going to beat almost all of the stock advice you get from stock
The
people.
book is called The Smartest Investment Book You'll Ever Read by Daniel R.
Solon, S-O-L-I-N. He's got a number of different books. Both this book and the audio is available at the library.
Hey, Mel, we're out of time for today.
Well, let's warn our affiliates.
No, we got classical music coming up here. Always a pleasure to have you here. But if people want more information about traveling, they can contact you at
Cruise@centurytel.net. CRUISE at
Hey,
centurytel.net.
Mel Zelenak. Always a pleasure to have you here. And as we said, this is not what we were planning to talk about, but
it was fun.
Yeah, it was. You're always fun to have here.
Thanks again.
Monday, we've got Columbia Art League and MU Healthcare. Our program directed by Travis McMillen of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers, KBIA. Our floor director is Danny Madison, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. And to listen to this again, and maybe you want to listen to it again, clarify it a little bit more, go to kbia.org, sign up for a free podcast or a vodcast, or drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu if there's something you'd like to hear. Bye-bye.